Hi, it's Kirby Summers, and I welcome you to my true crime podcast. Before I get started, smash the like button, subscribe if you have not. Today is Friday, October 18th. I'm going to just give you sort of like an inside peek into what's happening in my life. I've been battling laryngitis, which is a very peculiar thing, for a long time now. And so if for some reason I say to you, hey, I need to wrap this up, it's not because I don't want to talk to you. It's because maybe my throat, um, I'm using it and I'm not supposed to. Okay, so many of you have been listening very intently to the avalanche of information that's come to the surface about Sean Combs and I'm just going to use the word bizarre behaviors that are coming to light, not just on the federal level, but also through the lawsuits and the many allegations made before we even studied all of these lawsuits. Someone sent me a still image of one of his videos. Now, back in 1972, the Rothschild family, and there are photos of this online that you can pull up, held what they called a surrealist ball. And Marie Helene de Rothschild wore gold antlers on her head at the party. There were other people there, like movie stars, and very well-known people. Even Candace Bergen was there. So that we see not only in the mix of people who showed up at the Rothschild party, which is now known as an Illuminati party. It was a combination of the film industry, the social classes, people who were not working necessarily, but they were the wealthiest, and the various entertainment industries. So we had very famous writers, we had musicians, we had Hollywood stars. So what's happening that I've noticed with the Sean Combs case is that there is this very big emphasis on the fact that it's contained to the music industry. And I want to remind you that this is not contained to the music industry. We have been exposed to people like Sean Combs, not just because we know of Clive Davis or Tommy Mottola or any of those guys, but also all I have to do is remind you of Harvey Weinstein, and you'll see that, oh, okay, the film industry too, because I've been writing about the film industry and how it relates to mind control, mind conditioning for a very long time. So that it's the cultural conditioning, and in fact, CIA did have always, okay, they had families who would be their conduit, if you will, into providing money to various organizations that were cutouts in order to influence the public. So because we're aware, and I put up a photo of Sean Combs' Illuminati video where one of the girls, and they're standing in the circle. So what does that remind you of? Eyes wide shut, right? They're standing in a circle, and the one girl is wearing a headdress just like Marie Helene de Rothschild wore. in 1972 at the Illuminati party. So what I did was I uploaded a first-hand, now that you're aware that there are slaves, because, when I tried to bring this information to most people 5+ years ago, it was hard for many, I would say 99% of the people to understand what I was talking about. But this has made it into mainstream. Mainstream is finally talking about these practices. Now, perhaps not in the manner that I or other people who are indie, we don't have to rely on somebody to check legal or anything like that before we discuss our observations, our thoughts, our interpretation. So they're keeping to just what's happening on the legal front, but I don't think that they're putting in their, let's call it their opinion and their study into other things that have happened before. That's something that we're doing online, on platforms like YouTube, so on and so forth. And so I had written a first-hand account of a slave, not unlike Jonathan Odie, but unlike in the sense that he too was MK Ultra. And that's something that a lot of people have kept out of the conversation. It was, I have to remind you, it was part of the Franklin child abuse case, although only one of the two authors mentioned the MK Ultra part. And now we have Allie Carter talking about MK Ultra. We had Paul Benassi talking about MK Ultra. And I have been talking about MK Ultra for years. So in any event, years ago, I was contacted by various people. I continue to be contacted by various people with firsthand information. And in his case, he had firsthand information about Jeffrey's mentor, Les, who just a couple of days ago rebooted Victoria's Secret. They had a show in New York, in Brooklyn, because what they were trying to do, based on the backlash received when everything was exposed by putting sports people or people who are not necessarily in the best of shape in their commercials, backfired. However, every time I watch a podcaster interview a person, so for example, I did watch Sean Combs interview our biggest whistleblower yesterday, and you know her name. I'm going to try not to say it. You know her name. But the question that is often posed to these people is there a connection? Do you see a similarity between what's going on with Combs and Epstein? And of course, everybody has an opinion. But what I uploaded to my Substack just a few minutes before getting on here to talk to you with a terribly bad sore throat on a Friday morning is that I relate to you the kind of, let's call it, similar party that he attended as a slave. And he also described the names of a president that he had to be engaged with, if you follow my draft. And then he explained to me what happened at the estate in Ohio. Again, I'm basically just trying to choose my words very carefully. So I put that up on Substack. And I think now more people will understand the significance of this. and more people will be more apt to listen to the words of a slave. Okay, this is the first time that we have this opening. So in order to quench the darkness, which is always hidden, it's my belief, it's the way that I look at things, is that to expose it, you shed light on it. And that's how we can start to fight against the darkness, right? Let's just keep shedding light on this stuff. The other thing I want to mention is that on the 15th, just a couple of days earlier this week, I debuted Chasing Chandler, the second edition. Now, with Chasing Chandler, it's about Rachel Chandler and her ancestors. Rachel is connected to Epstein, to Nexium, and to other odd situations. I go back into her ancestry, as I've stated on this platform before. But the reason I bring it up is because I also included in the book, it's on my website. I'm going to leave links to everything below, is that the earliest ancestor, just before it became Chandler, was Harrison Gray Otis. Now, Harrison Gray Otis was a general. He too was a very wealthy person at the time, came from the Boston elites, who had, of course, come over from England with a lot of money. And he too was friends with people in high places of power, such as the President of the United States. But what they were doing at his time is, yeah, he and later the first Chandler in the Chandler dynasty attended rituals where men did unusual things, if you catch my drift. And so I explain all of that. I take it through history. I show generation after generation after generation, all the way to Rachel Chandler. And then I explain how it then loops back around, and it's all part of the same thing. There is Satanic. That is the underlying. That's it. That's what's holding up this world that suddenly all of us are being exposed to. So I've had a couple of people respond to the book. It's only available on my website. It's got, like, I would say 60% more information than the first edition. If you happen to have been someone who purchased the first edition and you have a receipt and you have proof of purchase, I'm happy to give you a discount on the second edition, which, like I said, has 60% additional information. All you have to do is contact me at the email address where you got your confirmation a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't care when you purchased it. I'm happy to give you a drastic discount so that you can get the most recent copy. In the meanwhile, I am going to have to regrettably leave you guys here, but I am hoping that you'll take a visit to the Substack, take a listen, and take a read to what happened on the premises in Ohio, and that you will give some consideration to picking up a copy of Chasing Chandler so that you can see that while the whole world is going crazy thinking that what's happening with Sean Combs is a new thing, it's really not. I plan to be writing a new series, and I'm just giving you a heads up. It's on the CIA's continued attempt to destroy us as a people. Because whether you're white, black, yellow, purple, whatever color background, we're all in the same boat. And so we've gotten to the point, thank God, that we can see that it's that they pitted the races against each other clearly. Because what? Divided they fall, right? So I'm going to start a new thing to show you with historic examples what they did, how they did it. And frankly, people like Wexner were involved. Combs is clearly an asset working on behalf of this very long-term cultural conditioning. But we are catching it at a stage where we can, when you understand something, you can choose to walk away from a message that is not in your best interest or the best interest of your family and the people in your life. That's a little tease. If you haven't become a subscriber, subscribe to my newsletter. I sometimes, download free articles. I try to keep a wall up there because as a victim survivor, I'm always a little concerned about who reads my stuff. And that's really why I have a paywall, and it's not something that I say, well, if you like it, you can pay for it. I'm not in that position as a survivor who's, I've had 3 attempts on my life, but I keep going on. That's all you can do. Anyway, guys, remember to smash the like button, subscribe, and enjoy your day. Alrighty, bye.